Let's party like it's 1999, friends. Like we still had freedom. Freedom, man. Like we still had freedom. Got some great news on the agenda tonight. I cannot wait to share this. We, my friends, are winning. We're winning. We're winning. I can feel it in my bones. I hope it's not wishful thinking, but I feel it in my bones. I'm stoked. We got lots of fun stuff to talk about tonight. Answer some questions. Go into some man, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun tonight. So I'm glad you're here. Muchos gracias, as we say in Espanol. Let me bring up my channel here to make sure that I see comments coming through. All right, we're gonna go here. I think. Where do I go? Right there. All right, cool. So we got lots to talk about. All right. You're just starting dinner, Cam? Oh man. Watching RV Travels YouTubes the last few days. RV rigs are expensive and they're getting more expensive, man. That's a big, I tell you, I'd say 75 to 80% of people I talk to, clients are wanting to do RV and stuff. It's nuts, man. Nuts. All right. So first thing, just a shout out to my man, Fritz Gilbert over at the Retirement Manifesto. Don't forget this book right here. A link will be put in the show notes later on. The Keys to a Successful Retirement from Fritz Gilbert. Love Fritz. Fritz and what's his wife's name? It's not Becky. I can't believe I can't remember his wife's name. I see her right in front of me too. I forgot his wife's name. Sorry, Mrs. Fritz. Man. Anyway, Fritz is a good guy. He's one of the good guys in the business. A great book, a great book. Don't forget it. If you want to support me via Amazon purchases, I can get some of that Jeff Bezos money so he can take his private jet to Cabo to save the world from climate change. Then I get that big commission of 4% on a $10 book. All right, so let's all right, cool. There we go. So we got that up. All right. Hey, Jill. Huntsville, Alabama, right on. Crappy Bill, RV, crappy Bill, don't do it. Kim, it's awesome. And the fifth wheel right now says Bill. Right on, Bill. Where you at, brother? Robert Rosenberg. I don't recall you being on here much. If I don't, name doesn't bring a memory to me. So good. I appreciate you. Carl Jones. I've never seen you. All right. And I might have. It just doesn't ring a bell to me. So I appreciate y'all being here. Just another book, Generations of Winter. I was actually just down. I got books. We have our little workout room downstairs, and I was working out today after my wife gave me the nice cut. So you want to save money in retirement, get your wife to get you just a little cut. I said, just cut the whole thing. I don't care. I could go bald. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not going bald, but I could sheeps like that. Whatever. It just makes it easier. But she doesn't want me bald, so she just gave me it's probably what a fourth of an inch, I guess, on the sides. Fourth of an inch. I'm not really sure, but it takes 10 minutes for her to go shoop, 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 and it saves me $20 at the barber shop. Now, when I was in the Army, those was it Korean barbers? I think it was the Korean barber ladies. The best haircut you've ever had, man. Oh my goodness. You go to those Korean barber ladies in the Army, the PX, whatever, man, they cut your hair like crazy for $5. Now that was 30 years ago, but man alive. Anyway, so Generations of Winter by Vasily Aksionov, with Tolstoyan narrative power and emotional grandeur of a new Dr. Zhivago. Generations of Winter is a story of a Russian family to survive amid the convulsions of the Stalin era. Boris Gradov is the genteel patriarch, is a surgeon whose skill saves his life even as it implicates him in the conspiracies of the ruling circle. Nikita, his oldest son, is almost liquidated in the purges, only to be freed to command the decimated Red Army against the Third Reich. And the Gradov's daughter, Nina, becomes passionately involved with both poets and party thugs as her ideological fervor gives way to irony and the grim determination to stay alive. It's the men and women woven together with such actual figures as Stalin, Beria, populated this triumphantly moving novel by one of the most acclaimed writers of the Soviet diaspora. Anyway, a great book, Generations of Winter. I was literally sitting in my bookshelf down there because I got books all over the place. And I just said, oh, man, that's fun. I got to read this again at some point. But unfortunately, I have my anti-library just piling up. But anyway, it's a great book, Generation of Winter. All right. The point being is that wintertime is doggone cold, man. And you better get prepared for more and more cold coming down the pike because it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant at all. And All right, so let me show you why I think we're winning here. I tell you, man, I'm feeling California, 61 degrees with sun and slight breeze. Yeah. Just guess what, Kim? Wait till they get rid of fossil fuels, man. You'll be sweating your pants off come summertime. So yes, you can laugh at the cold right now in Texas, but you're gonna be hating life come summertime because they're getting rid of fossil fuels in California. Huh. My house is still warm thanks to natural gas. Right on, Chuck. I wonder how Kerry is giving up heating his house with fossil fuels. He's not, man. He's not. It's the he's not, man. That's the issue. The elite always live the way they don't allow. I mean, we're literally in the fiefdoms. We're going into it, man. There's no other way around that. Can buy bond. Linda says can buy bonds this year. I'm not sure what she's asking. Don't take this wrong, but makes sense. I don't understand what you're asking me, Linda. Sorry. Nothing worse than a stressful 8-hour drive, setting up the poop chute and everything else filled in 98-degree weather, covered in sweat and filth, and wife and family asked what's for dinner on the grill. Oh, RV. Yeah. I don't think that many people are actually moving in 2020, 2021. I got to tell you, I've heard this all a million times a Sunday, and there just isn't that much migration. I know there's some, and I know there's some, Joe Rogans and things of that nature, but I don't think the migration is I just don't think so. If you look, at least, we'll see what happens to the Census Bureau probably next year. But if you look at the net migration patterns, it's just not that many in the overall population of the U.S. Most migration is intra-county, not even inter-county, not even intrastate. Most migration is within the same county, if you can believe that. It's crazy. Yet no one's complaining about natural gas right now, except old Greta Thunberg, and I guarantee she'll be using it too. These guys are all freaking scumbags, man. There's no other way around that. Which is why I want to share with you guys something. We're going to share this, and we're going to go here. I tell you, man, this is good stuff. So here's the evildoers at the World Economic Forum. I mean, these guys are pure. Just look at this crap, dude. These guys are freaking just not good people, man. Mobilizing action on climate change, vaccinating the world. Let's see. What do we also got? Evolution of travel, boosting vaccine confidence. We got building inclusive, sustainable. All right, inclusive and sustainable. Okay. We got what else here? Carbon markets with Bill Gates. Look at him, Bill Gates, because he's a scientist. Oh, yeah, he's right. He's not. We got harnessing the fourth industrial revolution. Interesting. How to accelerate sustainable, building a net zero, nature positive economy, transforming food systems and land use, mobilizing action on climate change, financing the Amazon's transition to a sustainable, financing net zero. We got special address by Putin. We even got Netanyahu delivering social justice in the recovery, transforming food systems. I mean, these guys are freaking nuts. Implementing stakeholder capitalism. The minute they use that term stakeholder, they're Marxists. That's all there is to it. Tackling the inequality virus, because inequality is a virus. I mean, these guys are just freaking nuts. But look at this guy. Oh boy. And there's Greta, because Greta is. There's the liar in chief right there himself. And there's Klaus himself, man, Klaus Schwab. I mean, look at these guys. And there's Xi Jinping. It is a cacophony. What is that? Cacophony? I don't even know how do you say that? A cabal. We'll just say that of just crazy tyrant wannabes, man. Crazy. Responding to COVID-19 crisis by the liar in chief, who's now saying, don't send your kids back until everyone's vaccinated, even though before he was saying, make sure you can send your kids back. The guy's just lying. This guy's such a lying clown. I cannot stand it. But there's positive news. We're going to watch this a little bit.
Right. As economic, environmental, and societal frailties have been laid bare. But it's also proved that when we need to, we can act rapidly and restructure our lives.
Recovery from the pandemic is an opportunity. We can see rays of hope in the form of a vaccine, but there is no vaccine for the planet. Nature needs a bailout.
No vaccine for the planet. Nature needs a bailout. What a clown. That's a UN Secretary General. No vaccine for the planet. Nature needs a bailout. As if bailouts are a good thing, you fool. All right, but here, check it.
You don't want to go back to the status quo. that you had before, simply because it was the status quo that got us here.
We don't want to go back to the status quo we had before because of the status quo we got that got us here. That's not frightening. I like the status quo, actually, for America, because we were somewhat free, not as free as we like to claim, but certainly more so than the clowns that the UN would want us to be. So let's keep, but watch. We're not done. It's good
With
stuff.
everything falling apart, we can reshape the world in ways we couldn't before, ways that better address so many of the challenges we face. And that's why so many are calling for a great reset. A great reset? That sounds more like buzzword bingo masking some nefarious plan for world domination. Hands up, this kind of slogan hasn't gone down well.
Yeah, it's right there. Did you hear what she said? This kind of slogan hasn't gone down well. She's admitting that people are like, we didn't vote for this crap. We didn't ask for this. That's the World Economic Forum, man. This kind of slogan hasn't gone down well. Oh, that is good stuff. They know that they look, they can ban people here, they can ban people there, but they can't control everybody. They can't. So let me share something with you too, because it's going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better. But you can, oh man, I just feel it in my bones. I mean, maybe it's just wishful thinking, but I'm going to share this with you. Check this out. Because what happens when you give tyrants a little bit, like I tell you, it's like the camel's nose in the tent, man. The camel comes barging in. It's like Finney. Look, Finney will be, when the minute Pablo jumps up here, you'll see Finney coming in next, and Finney just says, hey, it's party time. Let's go. Watch this. Oops, I got to share it with you. Now remember, who runs the UK? Boris Johnson, purportedly a conservative. He's from the Tory, the Conservative Party in the UK. He runs the UK, all right? Check this out. This is freaking nuts. This guy right here, lying on arrival to the UK, could get you 10 years in prison, says Matt Hancock, who serves Boris Johnson as the UN or the UK health director, health secretary UN of UK. Anyone arriving in England and found to have lied about a recent visit to a country on the government's travel ban faces up to 10 years in prison under new tough coronavirus border policies announced Tuesday. Was that voted for? No. Health Secretary Matt Hancock, again, a conservative, supposedly, said that Monday residents of the UK and Ireland arriving in England from the places on the government's red list will have to purchase a quarantine package that costs $2,400 per person and covers accommodation, virus testing, and other items. Individuals not abiding by the rules, including those arriving from a red list country without a hotel, could be subject to a series of fines. At present, there are 33 countries on the list, including South Africa, Portugal, all of South America, from where travel to England is effectively banned. I thought that was racist. That sounds racist. How come you want to ban brown people, and black people in South Africa and brown people in South America? That's racist, Boris. However, British and Irish citizens, as well as other UK residents, are permitted to enter, provided they self-isolate for 10 days. And let's see here. Anyone right here, he said this. They're not literally. This guy said, anyone who lies on a passenger locator form and tries to conceal that they've been in the country on our red list in the 10 days before arrival will face a prison sentence of up to 10 years. Now, why do I bring up a book such as this right here, Generations of Winter? And I got tons back there, man, of the commies takeover. I'm listening to, I don't like listening to books on audio all that much, but I'm listening to a book on about Mao, because this is nuts. This is freaking totalitarianism crap run freaking on steroids. Actually, but the sad thing is, let me just share another thing here too, real quick. This isn't the first time we've been here. I'll tell you that right now. So let me share it with you, because I posted this the other day. I thought it'd be fun to, no, that's not where we want to go. Of course, we don't use Google. We use DuckDuckGo. We're going to do Eugene Debs. All right. So let me tell you about old Eugene Debs here. And we're going to bring, he's a socialist. All right. But let's bring up old Eugene, because I want to show you that while you guys are going to get, I'm pissed, not going to lie to you, and you should be too. But, we got to keep the faith. All right. So here's Eugene Debs. All right. You remember him? You may or may not. He's a socialist who ran the Socialist Party of America. He ran for president for 5 times a candidate for president. He was actually a true Marxist in the terms of helping working people. Now, I cannot stand socialism in any stretch of the imagination. I would not like Eugene Debs, but he's freaking went to jail for his convictions. All right, so let's check this out. He led a boycott by the American Railways Union against handling trains with Pullman cars, what became the nationwide Pullman strike, affecting most lines west of Detroit and more than 250,000 workers in 27 states. Purportedly, to keep the mail running, Grover Cleveland used the U.S. Army to break the strike. As a leader of the ARU, he was convicted on federal charges of defying a court injunction against the strike and served 6 months in prison. All right, in prison, he read various books of socialist theory, blah, blah, blah. All right, but hold on just a second. We're going to keep going down. Labor activism. We got the Pullman strike, the federal government right here. Hold on just a second. We talked about that, became a socialist leader. Hold on. 1926. Because this is nuts what this guy did, presidential elections. All right. I think we're, hold on a second. All right. So he split 1905. Right here, leadership style. Right here. All right, so right here, Debs' speeches against the Woodrow Wilson, the progressive administration in the World War I, earned him the enmity of Wilson, who later called Debs a traitor to his country. On June 16, 1918, he made a speech in Canton, Ohio, urging resistance to the military draft of World War I. He was arrested and charged with 10 counts of sedition. His trial defense called no witnesses, asking that Debs be allowed to address the court in his defense. That unusual request was granted, and Debs spoke for 2 hours. He's found guilty on September 12th. At his hearing, he again addressed the court, and his speech became a classic, whatever it is, said it was one of the most beautiful and moving passages in the English language. All right, so what happened was he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. 10 years in prison for making a speech denouncing World War I. He was also disenfranchised for life. He presented what is because best remembered statement at a sentencing hearing. I'm not going to read that, but he appealed his conviction to the Supreme Court. The court examined several statements Debs had made regarding World War I and socialism. But anyway, he went to prison on April 13th, 1919, but he got out like 4 years later. So he didn't serve the full 10, but he actually served for saying stuff because of the Sedition Act of World War I, Wilson. It's crazy. I mean, that was some. Let me see if I can't find Sedition Act right here. Let's see if we can't find it. I mean, this is probably not going to find it. All right, never mind. If you just read your history, man, you'll say, look, we've been down these roads before. Never mind the internment camps and all that stuff. I mean, there's tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff. We've been down these roads before, but you just got to keep your head on. You got to keep, head on a swivel. You know what I'm saying? You got to keep fighting because there are enemies out there that want to put you in jail for 10 years, as we just saw the UK, a supposed abashing of freedom in the West. Now, that's nuts, man. We've lost our minds. And the reason we have is because we have a lot of fearful people like, oh my goodness, I'll do anything to stay safe. I don't play that game. You want to quarantine the sick? That's one thing. You don't quarantine the healthy and put little kids locked up in their prisons of their homes so they can't see their friends and go to school. No, that's some evil freaking crap. You don't tell little kids they can't go outside and play sports. That's some evil freaking crap. I got no empathy at all for people who are living their lives in fears as they're telling children they cannot behave in children-like activities. No, I got no empathy. You know why? Because I want to hear it from your side for once. I'm sick of this projection of these guys on the left. Always, I'm so self-righteous. I know this, I know that. You know something, man? I tell you what, you freaking look at a little eye of a child who can't go outside. He's freaking crying his ass off because he doesn't have a school friend to go to, and he's sitting at home in jail because of Fauci and these clowns in Washington, D.C. Yeah, I'm salty tonight, man. I tell you, this freaking pisses me off. But we're winning. We can feel it. You can feel the tide turning. Even Sniffy Joe is starting to question Chinese. Today he said something about the World Health Organization. He goes, wait a second here, man. We got to know a little bit more about the origin of the freaking Wuhan flu. What is going on? Now, I don't trust that guy as far as I could kick him. It's not even – Sniffy Joe is just, he's a puppet. I get it. But even who's behind him, you can feel it. You can feel it, man. I'm telling you, you got to stay true. So with that said, we want to go Make sure you subscribe to my man Dave Cohen's YouTube channel. He's not YouTube anymore because he got banned. Then YouTube said, no, we want you back. He said, I'm not coming back. He's on BitChute. So stay true and subscribe to my man Dave Cohen's channel because he is talking for freedom for sure. He's an Irish guy and love Dave Cohen. Big, huge. Yeah, Wilson was a racist authoritarian, 100%, man. Absolutely. Yeah, kids are already learning that masks are normal and part of everyday life. Yep. Yep. My last name is Will. I'm cashing on the beer fortune. Yeah, man. No, the Senate doesn't impeach. The Senate votes to convict or not, and they did not. He was impeached, Kim. I mean, we got to. So let's make sure we understand this. The president was impeached. That just means the House voted to send the rules to the Senate to basically convict or acquit, if that makes sense. So he was impeached. Impeached does not mean removing from office. I hate to sound this way, but our side is always on the defense. We can't make simple mistakes like this. Don't take this wrong. But everyone on our side, the side of the right, no one. We're David against the Goliath. We cannot make mistakes like this because people. I was listening to another guy the other day who I like a lot. I'm not going to say who his name was, but he said a couple of things. I said, no, those are bad. You shouldn't be saying this. It's not true what he was saying. And I said, and if you can disprove that just like that, a lot of the other stuff you can disprove as well. So we have to be very, very careful. It's like the blacks used to say, I'm not comparing us to freaking segregated blacks. So anyone's out there, no, I'm not. I'm not saying that at all. But they used to say we have to be 2 times better than the whites. This is back in the 50s and 60s and 40s and whatnot. And it was true, man. Jackie Robinson, Hank Aaron, all these guys. Anyway, did we ever figure out why Hank Aaron died and that on? Jackie Robinson, all these guys, they had to be that much better because they were the Davis against the Goliaths, if that makes sense. And as such, they couldn't make mistakes. They could not make mistakes, and we can't either. So if you're going to be, just make sure you know what you're saying. If you're going to be arguing with folks who need to hear the truth, now most will turn away. I mean, the Bible talks about that, man. I mean, we got, Jesus says you'll be basically hated in your own city. They don't want to hear from you, and you got to dust off your sandals and move on to another town. I mean, it's in the Gospels. But there will be some people who will hear the truth for sure. And when they do, they need to know that you're coming at it with the full knowledge that mistakes are few and far between. And so like my man I was listening to, I was like, oh man, his stuff is so good. But these 2 things is like, it's easily provable that he was incorrect, easily. And I was like, you can't make those mistakes, which is why I love Dave Cohen, because he doesn't make mistakes like that. And if we look at Dave Cohen's channel, I mean, this guy, let me just show you. He doesn't make mistakes. Right here. I mean, so we got gaslighting. It's funny. He actually has a video on this. He uses a video from 2004 in the UK where they're talking about how they got suckered into, swine flu epidemics. Everyone's like, oh my God, how they killed all these pigs and all this stuff. And it's just all fake. It's weird, man. They were even questioning, why is Big Pharma, what does Big Pharma have to gain from this? It was nuts. And they've since taken that video down, of course. Anyway, so Dave doesn't make mistakes. You get all these links and just, here we go. World Economic Forum right here. And this emissions fell during lockdown. Let's keep it that way. Huh. And this is literally from the World Economic Forum. These are the bad guys. I mean, this is no other way around that. These are the evildoers, and they like that right there. They don't like anyone on the street. They like you in prison, in your home. As focus shifts from recovering from COVID, we will take decisions that restore economies and support the green agenda. All right, we're at a pivotal moment when it comes to global warming. Okay, well, talk to Tex about that, fools. As the focus shifts to rebuilding and recovering from COVID-19, we need to make decisions to restore shattered economies, as the World Economic Forum could do that for you. If there's a silver lining to something as catastrophic as this, is the environmental boost and slowdown in greenhouse gas emissions while all these people are flying to Davos. Freaking all scumbags. Industrial output plummeted. They like that. Cars disappeared from roads. They like that. Planes were grounded. People worldwide noticed a positive effect on their surroundings. The air was cleaner, less pollution, and nature began to restore the balance. It's almost like going back to my man Henry Hazlitt, a war creates wealth because it brings prosperity when we rebuild things. Surely after experiencing this glimpse into a 1.5% Celsius future, we won't go back to our carbon-intensive lifestyles, but they do. But the fear is that we could. Even before the pandemic struck, there were concerns about achieving the UN target to limit global warming. Now COVID may undermine concrete action as well as good intentions. So basically what they're saying is, the IEA reported that global greenhouse gas emissions are predicted to fall by 8% in 2020 to levels of 10 years ago. At their peak in early April 2020, emissions decreased by 17%. All right, but it doesn't stop there. Let's not repeat the same mistake. We must separate our economic priorities from the slower moving but ultimately greater threat from climate change. If we neglect climate change, the most important existential, global risk, there'll be no point in rebuilding economies and lives if we sacrifice the future of the planet. So what they're saying here is they need a 7% draw every single year drop in emissions. And how do they do that? Well, we had a 7% emission, 8% in 2020. They want a 7% decrease in emissions each and every year. And we had 8% in 2020 because everything was grounded. That's what they want. That's what they want. The whole thing is not for what they say it is. It's to get the freaking agendas that they want in place. And if I was China and India, I'd be freaking pissed, man. I'd be like, wait a second, man. We are the biggest purveyors of GHGs, greenhouse gas emissions. Why? Because we use coal like freaking nuts. We're going crazy on coal. China's got slave labor in Africa, essentially, with freaking coal production. We know that for a fact. And so China's like, so you're telling me to stop, because the United States, our emissions are going down. Most of the developed world, for the most part, their emissions are at least staying flat. It may be going up a little bit, but not much. So we're not the problem. India and China are the problem if you fall for this tripe, and you should. But the funny thing is, India and China, they don't use any kind of kilowatt hours per day. They don't. They are poor. They're dying off because they're using cow dung to heat their homes and fuel their and heat their food, and manure and firewood. They do not have good, clean wood burning stoves down there. They don't have clean natural gas. They don't. So they're using this kind of crap, and they're getting air. The pollution is horrific down there. And so all these poor people are dying off. And yet the World Economic Forum apparently wants to keep it that way, because the only way to reduce emissions is for those two countries, and maybe Brazil, but those two countries to start going more and more away from fossil fuels, which is going to kill people. Yeah. So anyway. All right. So, yep, me too, man. Me too, Rich. I'm done with all. We need a new party that actually represents the people, not politicians. 100% could not. Yeah, exactly. Right on. Right on, Homer. They'd rather people in India die from cold instead of burning cow feces and wood. It's nuts, man. All right, so let's take some questions here. Ken says, I've yet to hear one climate prediction made in the last century that's come to pass. Actually, there's another. World Economic is funded by Bill Gates. I'm telling you, man, population control is their agenda. Population control is their agenda. We know that for a fact. They don't like people. They never have, man. They never have. It's crazy. And yet the funny thing is, these same people who don't like people are the ones that are saying we're going to protect people from COVID. All right. So I saw a question here from my man, right here, DJC. For mutual fund and taxable account, qualified dividends are the same as long-term capital gains. Yes, they are. Yep, 100%. All right. What's my opinion on, I don't know what that is, VCHS. I don't know. VCSH. I don't know what it is, Paul. Retire in 2026. Are there tax advantages trying to educate? Yeah, man. The tax advantages are the Trump tax bill. Yes. So all those are expiring in 2026. But the facts are, the Sniffy Joe administration has they got the agenda right now. They can pass any kind of legislation they want, and presumably they probably will. With that said, I'm not against a lot of the stuff he's proposing. I want a populist party. I do. And the Populist Party isn't tax cuts across the board anymore. We've done that. We've used the Laffer curve. It's worked. We're done with that now. We cannot keep going back to the old tax cuts. Vast majority of Americans pay no federal income tax. It's just that simple. I don't know, not the vast majority. A good amount of Americans pay no federal income tax. So stop this tax cut stuff, man. It's stupid. You're not winning over hearts and minds anymore. The left, who owns the money, they don't care. They don't care. They got more money they can freaking burn. So they're like, tax cuts, schmacks cuts. I got too much money as it is. So they don't care. And they're giving all that money to freaking left-wing World Economic Forum types. So stop with the tax cuts, GOP. My goodness. Now, on the state level, I like it. I think that's great. West Virginia, I just did a video today trying to get rid of state income tax. You want to make West Virginia competitive. I can't think of a better way, man. The price of housing in West Virginia is cheap as can be, right? And then you get no state income tax. Yeah, the property tax might be high, but it's the property value isn't so low. I'm telling you right now. I talked to my wife. Could not believe it. I told my wife, said, man, we might need to move to West Virginia once the kids are out. She's from Virginia. My wife is. We lived in Western Virginia, not West Virginia. I freaking love West Virginia. The MAGA of all MAGA states in the Union. Freaking beautiful as could be. The best people in the world, man, without question. And they don't care. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of West Virginia and Maine have a lot of similarities. And being from Maine, I tell you, it's freaking great. People just tell you, they're down to earth. They tell you like it is. No one's pulling punches. It's awesome. Anyway, long story short, if they get rid of the state income tax in West Virginia, what do you think is going to happen to the property prices there? You think they're going to stay as low as they are now? Hell no. So I told, and Charlotte, she's from Virginia. And if you're from Virginia, you're like, West Virginia? No way, Jose. It's kind of like if you're from Massachusetts, you're like, Maine? Hell no. Maine's where the rednecks and white trash is. I'm from Boston. I'm hoity-toity. Same thing in Washington, D.C. area, where my wife's from D.C. West Virginia, no, they don't have teeth there. Oh, man, West Virginia is where it's at. So if they got rid of the state income tax, man, you'd see people moving from Maryland like you wouldn't believe in Pennsylvania. Oh, my, it would be, dude, it would be I tell you, man. If you were smart, you'd be looking at property in West Virginia. I'm telling you right now. They got it's not. They don't even need a veto proof because the governor's Republican anyway. It's red as red can be, and they're freaking not. First of all, trust me, they'll never get rid of guns in West Virginia. It ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? It's never gonna happen. Part two of that is they're also a more populist Republican Party, unlike what is down here in Georgia, which is weird. I've come to realize our leaders in Georgia are the typical Republicans of tax cuts, big business. We want business down here. That's why I have tax credits for Hollywood. Why do you think The Walking Dead was filmed down here? Part of that movie that showed Ozarks. Have you watched that with what's his name? Jason Bateman or whatever his name is from Family Ties? No, Jason Bateman. Where's he from? Jason Bateman. I can't remember, but I like him actually. I like every time he's in something, I enjoy watching him. But anyway, that guy, because we have tax credits for Hollywood, because there are a lot of Republicans, the older ones, who think tax cuts, and we can rub shoulders with a rich elite in Hollywood and rub shoulders with rich elite business owners in Silicon Valley and New York. And that makes us feel good because I'm just a caveman from Macon, Georgia. I'm Eric Edwards. And I just want to rub shoulders with the fancy people. Nah, you're not going to get that. I mean, maybe to some degree in West Virginia, but here in Georgia, we had Sonny Perdue? The guy, no, who's the guy before Kemp? Man, I'm getting old. What the hell's that guy's name? I got his on my tongue. Anyway, he just loved the idea of Georgia becoming a North Carolina, which is not good at the end of the day. And I've talked about this. There's a guy named Chris Knight who sings some like kind of West Virginia country music. And he had a song talking about, they're bringing in the bulldozers and stuff, and they're treating my grandpa's land like dirt. Basically, they're saying the county needs the jobs. He goes, we never said that. It's interesting. And I think there's this kind of getting to be a divide that says, look, man, as long as we got, internet, that we can, like I have, good internet, and, we got people who know how to work with their hands, you don't need to make a lot of money in West Virginia to live a good life. That's all there is to it. Jackie, that's it. Right on. Thanks, Bob. Oof. Don't tell Fritz, old Jackie, I said I couldn't remember her name because Finney over there, we got from Jackie. Fritz set us up. They took us out to lunch one day up in Blue Ridge, Georgia. We're walking by where they have their dog every Saturday, and they bring these dogs for adoption. So we're walking by. My wife's like, "Oh, look at that dog! Can we pick him up?" I said, "All right, let me see if I can pick him up." I pick him up. He starts licking me, and Charles like, "Oh my goodness, he's so cute." I said, "Well, you can hold him," and he just loves Finney, loves Charlotte, man. I said, "Finney, you trying to take my wife? Because you got a girlfriend, my wife." Anytime he sees Charlotte, his tail starts going crazy. It's like, "Finney, she's married." Anyway, and it's like, "Oh, Jackie, Fritz, you got us." Vanguard, okay, Vanguard short-term corporate bond fund. Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, Vanguard bonds. You can't if you're looking for bonds, hard to beat it for sure. I got no qualm with that, none whatsoever. I just at this stage, I'm not, I got no qualm with it. I just don't like bonds. Now, let me. How can I say this? I say this a lot. I don't like bonds, but people said, "Then why you like Wellesley or Wellington?" See, that's something. There's a dichotomy here, man. It's not a false dichotomy. They're two competing entities when it comes to investing. One is me. All right, so I'm 50 years old. I'm plugging money in. I expect to have an income to see me through for the next 10 to 15 years. And I could be wrong, right? I mean, if I'm wrong, then I'm going to be in a world of hurt because I don't try to keep much cash other than to pay the stupid tax man. But I am trying to build up some cash, actually. So for me, I have a fixed dollar in mind of cash that I want in reserves. It won't be 3 to 4 years, trust me, but it'd be a good year of cash. So once I have a year of cash, and that's after the tax man, everything else will be in stocks. And the reason for that is simple, because I'm plugging money. I'm not living off my portfolio. I'm still making an income, if that makes sense. The drawback is once you no longer make an income, you're pulling money from your portfolio. So you're not trying to get growth. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he's like, "Look at this portfolio." What was it? I can't remember, but I was like, he was getting that's what it was. Yes, that's what it was. He was being solicited by some Morgan Stanley guys in a big city. I think it was Chicago or Detroit or someplace, St. Louis. I can't remember. And the Morgan Stanley guys were like 35 years old. And I was like, dude, it's just freaking idiots. And he's like, "Look at our portfolio. This is our expectations. You're going to have tons of money when you're 100 years old." And I was like, who gives a rat's butt? Who cares? We don't need tons of money. What we want is to make sure we don't run out of money, but we don't need a whole lot of money. So at the end of the day, the reason we want bonds isn't we're not going to get growth on bonds, but it does give you the cushion for when the market tanks. And I'm telling you, I don't know when it's going to happen. This seems to me, and I'll say it here first, I'll do a video on it. I think it seems like we're going right back to 1999. I guess I have said this already. And some guys like, "Well, 1999, the PE ratios were nosebleeds and there was no earnings." I said, "Well, what do you think Tesla is, man? What do you think Amazon is?" I mean, yes, I know Apple, we've talked about this the other day, but I'm going to talk about it again. Apple had what, 35, I can't remember this, basically mid to low 30s, some 40s, a couple are in the high 20s. Not nosebleed-ish, but not all the stocks are nosebleed-ish in the 1999 either, if that makes sense. There were some. But some of the big players now, Amazon comes to mind, Tesla comes to mind. I think it was Netflix. Facebook was pretty high. Not nosebleeder for Facebook, but it's high. Seems like another one I'm drawing a blank on. But anyway, some of the big players are out there. There's nosebleeds for earnings. It's nosebleed stuff. And I'm sitting there thinking, it's not sustainable, man. It's just not. And if you fall into another trap like 2000, where the growth stocks get pummeled, you don't care if you're not making any money on bonds. You just don't want to lose money. And like for me, my biggest holding is VTV. I'll say that again so I'm blue in the face. VTV. And what happened in the large cap value stocks, they did fine in 2000 and 2001. They fell a little bit in 2002, more than a little bit. But, the facts were they were quite resilient. And so if you're piling money in, you should be expecting a 30% decline and just have enough cash that if you lose your job in the midst of a 30% decline, you got enough to pay your mortgage for a while. But if you're retired, you can't have that, man. You can't have it because you're spending the money and you're spending the money down. and you're not putting money back in. And as such, and on top of that, it's going to be tough for a 62-year-old guy who just quit his IT job 2 years ago to go back making that kind of scratch. And so you got to be careful. So it's like people say, why do you hate Bonds but you like Wellesley? Because it's two completely different perspectives, and they're mirror images, man. And people got to recognize from where they are. Are they me or are they Paul? I don't know. And so if you're looking for, if you're in retirement, Vanguard short-term corporate bond fund is fine. I mean, I like Ginnie Mae. I like Vanguard short-term corporate. I got no qualm with them, none. If you're going to have bond funds, you need to have Vanguard. That's just a fact. No other way around that because the fees are so low. By winter, the leftists would say Biden's already fixed global warming. Yeah, right, man. Yeah, well, 100%. We need to win back the culture war by canceling. We need to be part of this instead of pretending it doesn't exist. This is where we screwed up royally. I'll just, whatever, those guys are nuts. Those guys are nuts. Those guys are nuts. So we're standing here and they keep taking. They keep pushing. And we are just, we're back against the 2-yard line, man. We got to start fighting back, canceling these people, man. Like someone got canceled from the left the other day. I forgot who it was, but and I don't watch Mandalorian, but that chick got canceled from Mandalorian, and they show the guy who played the Mandalorian is completely male privilege because the guy who played the Mandalorian, Pedro something, he says some evil stuff and he didn't get canceled, but the chick who played I don't care, I don't know what it is, but she got canceled even though she said some stuff that was even less worse than what that guy said. So the conservatives, I mean, you got to cancel people. Stop saying, I don't want to be part of this. No, you are part of it, man. Like, I don't want anything to do with politics. Well, guess what? Politics wants something to do with you, as you can tell it right now, just by your CDC telling people about moratoriums on foreclosures. What the hell is that? Your stupid health department lady in Pennsylvania, who's now in DC, telling people, go to a nursing home while I'm pulling my grandma out. Yeah, you might not want to be part of politics, but it wants to be part of you, man. Yeah, I don't see this happening, Chicken Charlie. He says, is senile Joe, I call him Sniffy Joe, really going to get rid of the step up in basis? I can't see that passing, no way. It looks like the Republicans or I should say the Senate will maintain a filibuster. There's no way that's getting passed. I mean, look, maybe. There's no way. I'd be no way. No way that's getting passed, man. Yeah, property taxes. I don't know if they're that low. Let's take a look, man. I guess I'm here to sell you on West Virginia, but Tax Foundation. Let's go to Tax Foundation. I just love a state where people can freaking live without being just harassed, if that makes sense, because they're conservative. I don't need people to freaking agree with me, which is what makes Maine pretty good. At least not in Portland, but other parts of Maine, is because it's not nuts. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure Portland is nuts, and that little area around Portland. But just people just let people leave you alone. That's why the western part of Virginia is nice. The drawback about let's go to state taxes here. The drawback. Hold on a second. State tax. There we go. All right. The drawback we had when we lived in Western Virginia, Shenandoah Valley, the drawback was that a lot of a very Christian place, which is good, which I like that. I do. The one drawback was it was kind of it's been a long time, 2008. So it's been 12, 13 years since we lived there. But there's it was not extreme, but there's this one way, I guess. And I've never liked that when it comes to God and Jesus, your love of Jesus. Like there's this one way. And I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into this, but I was like, yeah, I don't know. I find that to be, I don't know. I just think at the end of the day, people come to the Lord in their own way, if that makes sense. And they come to the Lord when the Holy Spirit speaks to them in a personal relationship. And you can't force it on somebody. And if you are over the top with this is the way it is and all the other ways are not, I don't think that's welcoming enough to get people to engage, if that makes sense. I don't know. That's just my viewpoint. Let me give you an example. I remember, when we lived in Phoenix, I had lots of Mormon friends. Some friends and stuff. And I know some Mormons up here in Georgia too. And the one thing I think the Mormons do right is they're just welcoming. You know what I'm saying? Smile. They're happy people. They're welcoming. And they don't, at least the ones I've seen, I know they got the kids, riding around bikes and stuff with their ties, but they don't, they're not, they're so strong in their faith. They don't feel the need to, I don't know. I can't really say what I'm trying to say because I know I'll offend somebody. I don't want to because I love Jesus. Jesus loves me, and that's all that matters. But at the end of the day, I think there's a better way to bring people as opposed to having I'm so smart and I have all the answers, if that makes sense. And that's the one thing I noticed when I lived in the Shenandoah Valley. There was some of that. Not that much, man. No one hit you with a Bible and stuff. It wasn't like that. These people. We had one issue that I don't want to get into. I was like, yeah, that's not very Christian, man. But anyway, that's the way I found. And I remember when we went to San Antonio, when he lived in Bernie, going to Catholic church in San Antonio, it was like freaking, dude, it was nuts. It was like Spanish people, German people. It was crazy, because San Antonio is heavy Mexican, just heavy German presence. It was insanely. It was awesome. You come here to Catholic church. Oh my goodness. It was like a freaking Southern Baptist revival. It was awesome. I mean, you got like people from India, all kinds of Haitians, all kinds of blacks from Africa. Never mind just old fuddy-duddy white guys like me. But it was coming to the Catholic church here, St. Thomas Aquinas. It was fantastic. And that's, we went to my man Skip Ritchie. He and I, he was a big impact on my, in fact, he called me today on my spiritual guidance. And he didn't do it by this, like that. He did it by, just basic conversations. It was great. It's great. And, we went to UMC, United Methodist Church there in Georgia, in Shenandoah Valley. And that was the first sermons I've ever heard that actually made sense to me. I haven't been raised a Catholic. The Catholic sermon is like, I just want to go watch the football game. Here is actually excited to go, see the pastor. It's weird, man. I never had that happen to me. And I'm still kind of Catholic. Probably like a low C Catholic, a universal. That's what Catholic means, universal. But at the end of the day, it's like we had a Catholic priest here. What was his name? He's a Spanish guy. He sounded just like Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite. Can't remember. He was fantastic. The young guy. He moved on to bigger and better things too, and so we got stuck with the guy now. So. The guy now wants you to know how much his life, about everything in his life. I'm like, dude, can you stop talking about? And look, people like stories, but my goodness, you just like to talk about yourself. It's weird. All right, but anyway, so let's go to property taxes in West Virginia. Let's see what we got. Hold on just a second. All right, here. Okay, cool. So this tax foundation, y'all can, sweet. So let's go to West Virginia property tax. We're going to click on the great. Oh, look at that, my friends. Look at that. That's the 46th, the lowest property taxes in the union. Whoa. Virginia's pretty good too, by the way. Just so we used to live right there. There's Bath County. That's where Monterey is. And there's Rockham County. Here's Augusta County. We used to live right there, went to school right here as George Mason, went to high school right there, Silver Spring, Maryland. And then we lived here. We got married here, Cave Creek, Arizona. I'm from up here. I went in the Army right here. We lived right there, Haddonfield. And we lived down here in Texas. And now we live right here. Seems like I'm missing someplace. Maybe not. And we lived in Alexandria right there for a number of years too. But anyway, so 0.55, man, that is pretty good. Holy smokes. All right, so let's look at, I want to see what their income tax rates are then. That's, all right, so we know let's tax Rama, Maryland. The potential override of Hogan's veto of digital advertising tax looms larger in the current legislative session in Maryland. There's only one of many tax proposals under consideration of the state. House Bill 732 passed with a veto-proof majority. It will implement a digital advertising tax. Oh boy. The digital advertising tax will be the first in the nation to impose rates of 10% on digital advertising served to Marylanders. Although the bill ostensibly targets large technology companies' advertising platforms, much of the burden would fall on Maryland businesses and consumers. You guys are freaking idiots. They're going to pass. They're going to ban tobacco products, vaping and stuff. God, can people just leave people alone? Another prize from last session is to implement a corporate income throwback rule. The purpose of the throwback rule is to achieve 100% taxability of corporate income by taxing what's called nowhere income. To that end, Maryland would tax corporate income generated by sales made in destination states outside of Maryland that lack the jurisdiction. All right. However, rather than increasing corporate income tax revenue and imposing new tax on sales made outside of Maryland, throwback rules actually result in complex, non-neutral, uncompetitive taxation. This rule now they're going to tax combined tax return for a corporation, all the subsidiaries in and out of the state. Finally, Maryland lawmakers are also to legalize and tax recreational dope and sports betting. Yes, that's smart. Let's legalize marijuana and tax the hell out of it. That makes real sense. That won't drive that won't drive a black market. All right. What extent does your state rely on individual income taxes? Let's take a gander. Look at you, West Virginia. 26% of what? Individual income tax collections as a percent of total state and local collections. So West Virginia, 26% of all taxes are done by the individual income tax, which you would want to do all kinds of Roth conversions before you move to the great state of West Virginia, unless they pass no state income tax. Interesting. Here's Tennessee, 1.1%. So that's obviously, and here's Texas, nothing. That'll be zeroed out now in Tennessee. Now they got the Hall Amendment thing, whatever that is. New Hampshire does tax capital gains a little bit, but still at the end of the day, 19%, number 19. So that's not bad, man. And individual income, you got low property tax. High income tax, you're making a lot of money, but not that high if you're not making much. And I think the sales tax is pretty high in West Virginia, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's go back. Oops. Let's go down here. All right. Do you want to state sales tax breadth and reliance fiscal year 2020? Okay, I don't care about that. Sniffy Joe, 67% tax on wealth. All right, what is that about? The Democrat is proposing two major tax increases on accumulated wealth. First, he would tax unrealized capital gains at death. There you go. That's a step-up basis rule with incomes above $400,000. For a deceased taxpayer who earned more than $400,000 but less than $1 million, it'd be subject to unrealized gains to the current tax. Okay, whatever. However, Biden also wants to tax the capital gains of millionaires at ordinary income tax rate. See, I don't have any problem with that. I'm telling you right now, man. Now let's take a look at estates. Has he talked about anything with the estate? Oh, right here. It appears that Biden does not believe these has been taxed. He's proposing to turn back the clock on the estate tax to 2009, when the top tax rate was 45%, and the level exemption was $3.5 million, which is significantly lower than $11.5 million today. All right, so basically, that's the first I've heard about that. I didn't realize that Biden wanted to go back to the old estate rules. That's not good. And don't forget, life insurance is in your estate if you own it. If you own life insurance, it's in your estate. Just be advised. Good times there, Sniffy. I don't like that. I don't like that estate tax stuff. That pisses me off. I don't like that at all. I don't have any qualm. And I've said this before. I think if you're making over $1 million, you should pay ordinary income on qualified dividends and long-term capital gain. I don't have any qualm with that at all. And again, I've said this before till I'm blue in the face. I have no qualm with a freaking transaction tax. Just I don't have any. That's going to hurt mom and pop. No, it won't. Where do people pay the most? It's going to be New Hampshire, Texas. Where the people pay the most property tax? New Jersey, New Hampshire, Texas, right there. Here I am, Fulton County, Rat Finks. Here is Rockham County. Look at that, Rockham County, where I used to live, 1244. Yeah. Right there, Camden County, New Jersey. We used to live there. Camden, right there. $6,700. So we moved from, where did we move from? We moved from Rockham County, right there, to Kendall County, right there. All right. Then we moved to Camden County, right there. And then we moved here, Fulton County, right there. Oh, man. And we lived in Maricopa County. And I'm from Cumberland County. Right. I was in Jefferson County up here in Watertown. Anyways, that's interesting. And here's West Virginia. Look at that, man. Clay County. I mean, here's Pendleton County right there. $565. Damn. Man, that looks pretty good to me, man. Pendleton County is freaking, oh my goodness, gorgeous. All right, so let's see what else you guys got to say. Yeah, that's true, Scott. The Democrats are relentless. They know how to play politics. That's all there is to it. Kim, how you? All right, all right. Kim says she can't figure out how to fight back. So let's check this out. Now, this is a good observation, and it's interesting how many people get mad at me for bringing politics involved in the channel. And my whole reason to do this channel was to help people realize they can retire. And why? Because you can see I saw the writing on the wall when I was at USAA, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but unbeknownst to anybody, unless you paid attention to their corporate, charter, various groups that weren't veterans, let's just put it that way, were thrown into special privileges that you would think only were applicable to, basically applicable to veterans, disability, your race. You couldn't discriminate on race and stuff. Other groups that had they weren't protected status. That makes sense. And I remember thinking, like, how did this guy, like USAA, a conservative military serving company, and it's just weird. Long story short, there's a lot of back and forth internally in the USA. This is back in 2009, 10 or something like that. And they literally canceled people who said, what is this? This was never put to vote or never put to, who came up with this? And we know it was HR. They hire HR from, Madison Ave or whatever it is. I don't know. I guess that's advertising. But, the HR is full of social justice warriors. A lot of young women, single women, social justice, not all of them. I mean, I've dealt with HR men, for white guys even, but there's a lot of SJWs in HR. And somehow they were able to change essentially the chart of USAA to put groups who shouldn't get special privileges. It was weird. And anyway, what happened was, so on these internal chat boards and stuff, people were like, what the hell? And those people got like fired. It was crazy. I said, what the hell is this? And like, what would happen was, at first it wasn't explicit, but they got penalized, demonized even. And these leftists would go on. I tell you, I'll never forget, this guy was on there running for something on USA for, like, I don't know, employee to be on the board or so, I can't remember. And he said, I'm part of Netroots. I'm part of Obama's, blah, blah, blah. We're pushing for that. And I was like, I remember thinking that he was pushing left-wing stuff. It's crazy. And some guy from the right said, I'm basic Christian, blah, blah, blah. And they canceled him. He didn't get fired, I'm aware of, but they said, you can't say it. It's offensive. I was like, it was crazy. Hello, handsome. Anyway, that's back then. You can see the writing on the wall then that corporate America was being taken over by bullies. No other way around that. Social justice warriors. It's only gotten worse. Hold on. And so the reason, so long story short, a lot of people stay in corporate America is they think they have no alternative. They basically have what they think is the golden handcuff. Here's Pablo, by the way. And so I said, oh, handsome, give me one. And I said, my dog, is my dog offending you? I've had some people say, your dog's offending me. You should be more professional. And I told this guy today, I said, man, you must be new to the channel. If you came here looking for professionalism, this ain't the place, baby. You're not getting any professionalism here, I'll tell you that. Oh, no, you won't. What are you doing, bud? Anyway, and so then I realized that, the reason people stay at their jobs is because they're fearful that they can't leave. And so they have this irrational fear that they can't leave. And I said, I don't think that's true. And so I started to do my YouTube channel to show people that you could quit your crappy old job. And literally the crappy old job is because it's a corporate job where you're told what to think and what to say. And if you say anything different, well, you're going to get canceled. It's getting worse, man. And but the nice thing with Sniffy Joe in there is I think there is going to be a pushback, which is good. And so what happens though is that, you know, Kim says, I can't figure out how to fight back. I have to stay. I get that. If you're in that position, yes, that's true. If you're not in that position though, you got to leave. Now, how do I know if you are anyone on here right now? I don't know. You have to figure that out. But if you're not in that position because you've been listening to Susie Ormans of the world, or you think you're not because you've been listening to Susie Ormans of the world, I invite you to think again because you got to leave. It's going to be good for your soul to get the hell out of where you're not wanted. It's going to be good. When I left USA, it scared the living bejesus out of me. And praise Jesus, it worked out. I did not know. And look, man, I could get canceled tomorrow. YouTube could say, we don't like you. And that absolutely, and that's why I build up a presence, hopefully, of an email list to let people know my website. I'm on BitChute. I'm on these other channels and stuff too. We'll see what happens, but at the end of the day, I mean that easily could happen, and that would suck, right? But still, I'm better off now than where I was 3 years ago when I was still at USA, driving down a bucket an hour each way. No way, man. And so the way to fight back is to get out of the fight. Frankly, is to get out of the fight. Fight on your terms. You can't fight City Hall. You can't fight corporate America because you're fighting on their terms, and you're going to lose. So you fight on your terms, which is I'm not going to engage in that fight. Remember the whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing, and this is why I said people got really mad at me because I said we're walking into a buzzsaw if we start engaging them with their tactics. You got to create your own battlefield. You don't engage on their battlefield. They're choosing the battles, and you don't want to do that. You fight back, man, but you do it in a different way. You do it when you choose the battlefield. And the battlefield we should choose, frankly, is not in corporate America and being a slave to the grind. As a slave to the grind. Who sang that song? You know what I'm talking about? Slave to the grind. I'm sure I'll get demonetized right now because I just when you use someone else's stuff, what do they call that? I forgot. But anyway, Sebastian Bach, remember that guy? That's actually a pretty good song. Anyway, the band wasn't that good, but that was actually a pretty good song. They had another good song too. I forgot what it's called. Monkey Business. That's what it was. I don't need your monkey business. Yeah, that was pretty good. Long story short, that's how you fight back, is you don't engage on their field, you engage on your own. How you engage on your own? Living well is the best revenge, man. So I was talking to a lady, this is probably 2 years ago, and I did a financial plan for her. And she was going to leave her crappy old job in Illinois. I forgot where she was, and she was going to move. She wanted to farm in Missouri. Yeah, someplace in Missouri. And she was going to move, just raise some, chickens, plant some flowers, just have a small garden. I tell you, man, it's like, dude, you can do that tomorrow if you want to. It was great. And we're talking about health insurance, all that stuff. I said, well, that's something you're gonna have to contend with. It'll probably cost you on ACA $1,000 a month. I don't know what the limitations are for docs down there. I don't know. But frankly, if you're essentially what would happen is if you're not making that much money because you are pulling money out of taxable accounts as opposed to tax deferred accounts, and you don't spend that much as it is, you'll maintain yourself below 400% above poverty level to qualify for those Obamacare premium credits. All right. So you're playing their game, but on your side. You're playing the game, but on your field. In this case, she's going to live in Missouri farming, small potato farming, chickens, plant some corn, plant some potatoes and stuff like that, and chilling. I said, man, so good life, spending $30,000, $25,000 a year. She don't need that much. Maybe a 2-bed, 1-bath house or something like that, so her kids can go visit her on occasion. That's not a bad deal, man. I said, how much do you need to live? She goes, you're right. I said, I know I'm right. Sue, whatever her name was. I said, I know I am, because this is just common sense. You're making $90,000 a year at work in Chicago or something like that. You're commuting an hour each way. You're putting on hell of a weight because you're freaking hating life. And when you hate life, you eat as a way to to kind of satisfy that quick desire. I get it. I'm there, right? And so what happens is you say, you're sitting in a car. The car is dangerous, an hour each way. That's dangerous traffic right there. You're driving in the snow, driving freaking riots going on, all this crap. For what? $80,000, $90,000 a year. You're paying 7.65 to FICA. You're paying, whatever the state of Illinois taxes, the feds. On top of that, you're putting money into your 401k. You're 57, 58 years old, and you're like miserable. Stop. It's not worth it. That's how you fight back. Get out of there. So go John Galt, if that makes sense. And I hope you know what that means. Go John Galt. All right, so let's keep looking here. Monkey Bit. Yeah, Youth Gone. Nah, I don't like that song. Youth Gone Wild wasn't that good. Plagiarize. That's right, Harry. Plagiarize. Copyright infringement. Right on, man. Yep. Did Josh get an electronic WB? What's that? Electronic. All right, so here's Eisman 57. Yay! Isn't that Val Kilmer? I lost my crappy old job 2 years ago, and Josh gave me the courage to retire. Probably saved my life. Forever grateful. Ooh. That's thanks, brother, but that's scary. No pressure. Oh no, that's not. So let's check this out. I can't. Yeah. My wife allowed me to get this, and we'll be using this. So I'm waiting on my new lavalier. I should be getting this week. Hello, Pablo. So this is gonna be awesome. Once we get my new lavalier, and watch, it even flips over. I think I got it secure so it can't flip over. It flips over now. Oh yeah, Mises knows. Ludwig von Mises, by the way. So once I get that lavalier, we'll be doing more things right there. I can't wait. I'm working on so check this out. I love you, dog. Yeah, Pablo's a little bit chunky now. He's 16 pounds because I got my treadmill. I'm not taking him for walks anymore, and he's putting on a little bit of weight. We weighed him today. He's 16 pounds, little chunk. Finney is 42 pounds now, and Finney's got lots of room to grow. Finney's got long legs, man. I'm like, oh boy. But Pablo's like little chunkinator. Oh man. Anyway, so all right, so check this out. Here's what I'm working on. Haven't done much. I'm using my man Dan Coulabert's stuff over at 55e.co. 55e.co. Pablo, all right, make up your mind, though. Anyone making more hot tea? Oh, thanks, girl. Check this out. This is for retirement now. 4 funds, 25 in each of these. Wellington, Wellesley, Ginnie Mae, VTI, or VTSAX. We'll use funds. 25 in each of them. How awesome is that? How simple. And then if you want to rebalance, you can. But the premise would be, oh, man, I haven't done any work on this yet, so don't plagiarize my stuff here. But, all right, so we got 25% each. So we got, let's just say, for simplicity, you got 10,000 each. Just for, oh, that's not going to work. Yeah, it's going to be tough to do on my small whiteboard. We'll say, 25, 25, 25, 25. All right. And so what happens is you say, all right, so we start that in year one. Again, we're taking 5% a year off. That's $5,000. So we're putting the $5,000. We already have the $5,000. So we're not taking $5,000 in the first year from this portfolio. The next year, this is down to 21. This is up to 28. This is up to 33. And this is down to 18. So you say, okay, I need 5,000. I'm going to take it from whichever fund is up the most. That's it. I can take it from whichever fund is up the most. No rebalancing. Just leave it like that. Yeah, because I think rebalance a pain in the butt. You say, okay, I'm just going to take it from whichever fund's up the most. And you do the same thing the next year. Would you want to rebalance? Maybe you would want to rebalance. I have to think that through. But anyway, rebalance is a pain in the butt. I guess it wouldn't be that hard. If you start with a quarter in each fund, it shouldn't be that hard, actually. Now I got to think that through a little bit. I think that wouldn't be that hard. But anyway, so you say, okay, I'm going to have 25 in each fund, 25% essentially. Whatever fund's up, I take it up most, I take it from that. That's simple. Whatever fund's down, I don't touch that. I got to think if you want to rebalance. I have to run those numbers. But I was just thinking about that because how easy would that be? So reason being, you get all stocks of VTSAX, you got all bonds of Ginnie Mae, you got 40% bonds or 40% stocks in Wellesley and 40% bonds. Yeah, 40% stocks in Wellesley, 35% bonds in Wellington. All large cap value. All right. Well, the nice thing about large cap value, again, we're not going for growth and retirement so much. We're going through some growth, but not a lot of growth. But we're really trying to protect more than anything, just make sure we don't run out of money. And so as such, the growth is secondary, it really is. And so we're sitting there, and we still have some growth stocks in the VTSAX. I mean, that's going to be, VTSAX, the total stock index, 70% of that is the S&P 500. I think growth right now represents 60 to 65%, something like that, of the S&P 500. So 65% of 70%, what's that? 42% of VTSAX is going to be large cap growth, if that makes sense. So you still got growth stocks. You got predominantly large cap value stocks. But you still have a few small stocks because VTSAX, 30% of the VTSAX is a Wilshire 4500, which is a mid cap and small cap. So you still have exposure to small, mid, growth, value, government bonds, corporate bonds as well. And I'm sure Wellesley and Wellington probably got some preferreds in there as well. So pretty diversified portfolio, man. Cheap as can be. Just seems pretty simple to manage. Yeah. I was thinking not having any cash. That's just what I'm thinking. It's just something that hit me, man. I don't, because I'm actually thinking if you're going to be, it's going to be rather conservative. And it's probably going to be, I don't know, probably 60-40 portfolio when all said and done, I imagine. So I'm thinking Ginnie Mae shouldn't be down much. I mean, the worst Ginnie Mae has ever been now is like 3%. So Ginnie Mae essentially, Vincent, works as your cash holding, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't add cash to it because I think Ginnie Mae would essentially be your cash. No, bonds aren't going 6% anytime soon. No way, Tom. Tom, are you still, got the freaking wrench? All right, what's so great about Wellington, Wellesley versus other total market funds? What's so great about them? Well, they're Vanguard, so their funds expense ratios are quite cheap. They have a track record that's just impeccable. Wellington, someone had written a book about it, some crazy guy, going back to 1929. It's just a fantastic fund across the board. Wellesley is the mirror image of Wellington. It doesn't have quite the same track record, but it's got, it goes back a long time. And so the reason those are good for retirees, in my opinion, is because they're heavy on large cap value stocks relative to the stocks that they hold, and they have a lot of bonds in there. Corporate, I don't know what their holdings of bonds are. That's why you're paying Wellington. I used to talk to a guy. Yeah, right. There you go, Dan. Yep, right on. That's kind of what I was thinking. Ginnie Mae is a cash equivalent. Yeah, right on, John. I got a bunch of videos on those two funds. Exactly. Cash is trash. Send me your cash. I'll throw it in the bucket. I'll throw it away. What was I getting ready to say? Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot. Yeah, it's about something about Wellington, S&P 500. Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, right there. Exactly, Dan. Wellington. Don't go out and do this yet. I haven't done any. That's what I'm going to say. Wellington, Wellesley. They survived well across all market cycles, except the market cycle that killed everything, which was the 66 to 82 time frame. That was the inflationary time frame. This is the concern. I will until the evidence presents itself more. I don't believe we're going to a heavy inflationary economy. I don't. People keep talking housing prices. I just don't understand that. If you're not in the market to buy a house, it's not even part of the CPI for the most part. I don't think it is. Anyway, I don't understand that. So if you're not, I mean, this is where I think a lot of people have this irrational, maybe not, irrational fear of inflation. They look at the price of cars and they look at the price of housing. And I'm saying, well, both are huge ticket items. I mean, how many times are you going to buy those things in a retirement? Once or twice. I mean, if that. And so you buy a car, all right, well, that sucks, but you're not buying a car every single year. I mean, I hope not. Your house, most likely you're not buying every single year, and hopefully you'll pay cash money for it when you downsize. Like, what's my plan? So when we move to West Virginia, it'll change next week. My wife's like, oh, now where? South Dakota, I can't go to a place that's freaking negative. Oh man, I can't go to one sec. And I like South Dakota, but no, negative 11 feels like negative 26. There's my man Dave Cohen, by the way. Negative 26. That's straight up crazy. Even my man PEI, my man Ross, who's on, he might not be on here tonight. It's only 23 in Prince Edward Island, man. Crazy. It's colder in Bernie, Texas, than it is in Prince Edward Island. That's freaking nuts. Look at this, Bernie, Texas. It feels like 1 degree. Snowing in Bernie, Texas. We lived there for 4 years. We only had ice like once. That was it. Nuts. That's crazy. Seems like I had something else. All right. Anyway, that's Fidelity Fund, FXIAX. I don't know what that is. I don't know tickers. I know some Vanguard stuff, but I don't know tickers. So you have to spell out the fund. Yeah, being debt free is, I tell you, man, that is one. If you're debt free, you can live off a whole lot less. You can tighten that belt a whole lot less, man. Yeah, right on, John. I tell you, look, I haven't done anything with it yet, but it's not rocket science to think this can be pretty successful. Oh, so the 1966 and 1982 inflation ate alive everything, but if you, all right, so and I did a video this the other day. The kilowatt hour price hasn't gone up that much at all. The price of lots of things just hasn't gone up that much. It hasn't. In the last 10 to 20 years, it hasn't. While the government has been spending like drunken infantrymen. And so this idea that the government spending is we're going to have mass inflation. They've been saying that. I'm telling you, if you watch Louis Rukeyser, Wall Street Week, right around the great crash of 1987, they had a guy in there from Goldman Sachs, some clown, saying the deficits and the government spending were going to have huge impacts on inflation. Bonds are going to get killed. Stocks are going to get killed. Basically the Russians, and they're going to take us. He didn't say it, but the whole thing was nuts. And he was just freaking wrong. They've been saying this for years, man. Now, again, a stop clock and all that, I get it. But I'm sitting there thinking, it's like the global warming people. At some point, you got to be right, dude. You got to be right. And these guys have been wrong for as far as I can see. And then you just look at Japan. I mean, so it's one thing to say, well, maybe we're the exception to the rule that we're violating the laws of economics because we're the only game in town. Maybe, because oil is denominated in dollar bills. Maybe. All right. All that stuff may be. But there are other pieces of evidence too. Japan, right there. Japan, man. Debt to GDP is over 240%. It's been like that for a long time. The government printing press has been going for a long time, and yet there is no inflation, none, no growth either. It's one thing to say, okay, maybe America is the exception to the rule, and okay, well, maybe our time is coming. Then you just swing and you say, well, how do you explain this? Anyway, I don't know. All I know is the inflationary time of 66, 82 killed Wellington, certainly killed Wellesley, but it pretty much killed anything. Because inflation was heavy and high, and it was painful. On top of just the price of energy as a crop. Remember, don't forget, friends. Why do you think we went to coal in the late 70s? Because we were running out of natural gas. Did you know that? You might not. We went to coal because we're running out of natural gas. That's why we went to coal. They didn't think there was enough natural gas. So never mind peak oil. We were at peak gas. Why do you think Jimmy Carter said wear a sweater and all that? We didn't have the resources. Turns out we did. Now, don't forget, that was the midst of a global cooling epidemic that we had in the 70s. So all these freaking fake Michael Manns and crazy climatistas, they're always going to start with 1979 as their starting point to show how bad it's got. Well, that'd be like starting freaking, I don't know, when the Patriots are 2-14 in 1983, because they drafted Tony Eason in 1983, 1982 or 1983. So it'd be like saying the Patriots, look, since the Patriots drafted Tony Eason, they're like the best team in football. You're starting at such a low. You see what I'm saying? I mean, was it? Yeah. So they drafted Tony Eason. He was in the 83 draft with Jim Kelly, John Elway. I don't think Marino was in 8. Was Marino in 83? I think Marino might have been 83 too. But the Pats were 2-14 right around that time. I remember that. Anyway, long story short, that'd be like saying, look, since Tony Eason was drafted by the Patriots, they've been freaking the best team in football. Well, that's nothing. There's nothing to do with anything. Like saying, look at the global warming's gone through the roof since 1979. Well, yeah, because that was the end of the global cooling cycle that started in the 1960s. Fool. So the issue, though, we have to contend with is if we have inflation, Wellington, Wellesley, Ginnie Mae are going to get spanked. Anything that's heavy into bonds is going to get spanked. There's just no two ways around that. Bonds are going to get destroyed in inflation. Stocks may or may not do fine inflation. Everyone says stocks are a hedge against inflation. I'm telling you, it's just like I say this. My analogy is like electrons, man. You got electrons jump around like crazy. You just don't know what's going to happen with electrons. I mean, you kind of do, but that's what I say. So you got the bonds aren't like that. Our stocks, we don't know if inflation is going to make stocks go up or down. We have no idea. Stocks are not heavily correlated with inflation, just not. Bonds are. We know for a fact it's an inverse correlation. Inflation goes up, bonds get killed. No other way around that. Wellington, Wellesley, and Ginnie Mae heavy in bonds. So if we do have an inflationary time frame, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. No two ways around that. That is my concern on all this stuff because I don't know. That's why I still got to have some exposure to stocks just in case. Now, there isn't the positive correlation that bonds have with inflation, but there is certainly, we want to have a non-correlated asset if inflation comes in, which stocks would presumably give us some for sure. And please stop. The gold is a hedge against inflation. Gold is not a hedge against basic inflation. It's just not. Gold is a hedge against calamities. So there's no other way around that. So you should have gold. Don't get me wrong. But stop this. Oh, gold's a hedge against inflation. No, it's just, that's not true. It doesn't mean it's not. It just means there's no correlation that says if inflation goes up, the cause will make the gold go up too. That's not necessarily true. Not in the least. In fact, you can see the price of gold going crazy the last 2 years with no inflation. So just there's no, again, you can't make if X happens, Y is the result. You can with bonds. That's the drawback. Inflation equals bonds getting smoked. So the drawback about this 4-stock portfolio is that we're heavily relying on low inflation. And if low inflation continues, this stock portfolio, the 4-fund portfolio should do quite fine without question. If we're wrong, that's a challenge. And that's kind of going back to why I still like the barbell, is because the barbell says, look, man, we're going to have 4 years of cash and that's it, Ginnie Mae. We will get pummeled in that with inflation, but hopefully our stocks will overcome that significantly. So if we're getting smoked here, the stocks will hopefully go up more than we're getting smoked going on the way down. But there's no guarantee of that. The best thing you can do is just like my man Jake the Snake says, being debt-free. Because when you're debt-free, you can tighten the belt. No other way around that. Inflation, no joke. Now, then you have to think, okay, what would I need for inflationary items? Well, you don't need big ticket items, hopefully. I mean, do you need a new range? I don't know. Maybe every 15 years I need a new fridge? Maybe. But those are big ticket items. You probably don't need that much. Do you need a new car? Well, probably not. Do you need a new home? Probably not. So the big ticket items, you don't really need that much, I would suggest. Food, well, there's a couple of things to do with food. One is to grow a little bit of your own, or get in a community of like-minded people that you can, essentially barter with. You might be good at plumbing, and they might be good at raising hogs, so you can kind of exchange services and whatnot. A CSA, a community. What the hell is CSA? There's one here. Communities. Agriculture, community something agriculture. Anyway, you find a local CSA you can belong to, where you're basically becoming a customer of the day for a local farmer who's trying to make money, making ends meet farming. And he'd like to have a sustainable, and I don't mean sustainable to green people, I mean a sustainable level of income they can rely on a regular basis. That'd be one way, I think, to kind of offset some of the cost of inflation. But the best way is just to learn how to, grow your own basic stuff for sure. Potatoes are easy to grow. You can put potatoes in the ground, wake up, 4 or 5 months from now and freaking harvest those suckers, man. Not a whole lot of work on potatoes, that's for sure. You can grow them in the pots on your back porch. I did last year. Not a huge harvest last year. My carrots didn't do great. My potatoes didn't do great. My green peppers did fantastic. Cucumbers did freaking awesome. And tomatoes did awesome. I was going to put some seeds in the ground here this week, but it's going to be cold latter part of this week. So I'm going to start putting some seeds in the ground. Kale, I love kale, man. I'm a huge fan of kale. I'll put some of those in the ground probably next week and start my indoors tomatoes and peppers. I'll start those indoors. I'm missing something else. Tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers. Did I start cucumbers indoors? Yeah, I'll transplant cucumbers. You don't want to transplant carrots. You want to plant those direct. Peas, you don't want to transplant either. I think peas I can start. I can't remember when I can plant the peas. Anyway, but if you're planting your own vegetables and stuff, that's one aspect you don't have to worry about inflation, and also no sales tax. Meat. I mean, you can learn how to. You can go. Oh, I'll check this out. I'm trying to get my man Darby Simpson on here so I can interview him. Here's my man Darby Simpson, Grass-Fed Life. Start your livestock farming journey for free. He's out of Indiana, your neck of the woods, Jill. He's a little bit southwest of Indianapolis, and he's going to have. I'm hoping he's going to have a one-day course out there on showing you how to raise. To start your farm. And I'm not trying to have a farm. I'd like to learn how to grow some hogs actually at some point. Not till my kids are out. But anyway, he's got pastured profits, profitable poultry, raising pigs for profit right there on I think it's $99 or something like that. I mean, this is just, a complete step-by-step A to Z guide to plan, market, and build a profitable pig enterprise built by a farmer and for farmers just like you. Yeah, $199. Just this guy's fantastic. So he and a guy named Diego Footer do a podcast called Grass-Fed Life. Start your profitable mini farm, pastured poultry processing. Start your farm now. So lots of good stuff here. Right here, Grass-Fed Life podcast. Just big. I'll put this in the link to the show notes. I'm a huge fan of Darby Simpson, and like I said, I'm hoping to get him on my podcast one time because. The dude is a community. Yes, right. Community support agriculture. That's it. Right on. Yeah, right on. And so Jill. So we know Jill up there. Oops. Let me get out of that. She lives next to. I forgot her name. The lady next to her, who Jill introduced me to, who I interviewed for the podcast. Drawing a blank her name, but she's got a farm. With small. I mean, she raises plants and vegetables, whatnot. She has a lady in Kansas that does some other kind of farming too. I think she might even do some chickens. I can't remember. Point being is that for every vegetable she grows, that's one less she has to buy. One less. There might not be sales tax on food, but there's still inflation. One less. I mean, if you're worried about emissions, well, you don't want to transfer that crap from California or anything like that. You just buy it right in your backyard, man. And that's a way to save money. And by the way, it gets you out into vitamin D. Being out in the sun is wholesome for you. It gets you some vitamin D to fight the COVID. You get some fresh air. I tell you, at the end of the day, you're at one with God's earth, though, man. I'm telling you, being out there, you can hear it. It's just like, oh, man, God is talking to you. That's crazy, Josh. That's fine. I'm crazy. If loving the Lord is wrong, I don't want to be right, man. That's all I gotta say. If that makes me crazy, I will definitely take that for sure. If you have a brown thumb, try the AeroGuard hydroponicus. Right on, man. I have one for Christmas. Been growing herbs like crazy. Could not agree more, man. I got a couple of those. Huge fan of AeroGuards for sure. Easy. Just easy. And without question, it's fun. It's fun to do. It's great. I love it. Let's see. Yep, right here. Scott says free sun, exercise in nature. Exactly. And it gives you something to do, by the way. Love the idea of having Ginnie Mae as a cash equivalent bucket store. Right on, James. I tell you, man, I think that's an overlooked proposition. A lot of people think cash has to be cash. And I said, not necessarily. I like Ginnie Mae. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah, I tell you, that's a good point. Home expenses will happen. I completely agree with that. Home expenses, your roof, that's a fact. There's no other way around that. You're going to get some plumbing issues, your sump pump, your septic, if you're on a septic like we are. I mean, I completely agree. That's a fact. Having a budget set aside for that's a good thing. The house itself, though, because people say the prices of houses are going through the roof, implying huge inflation is here. Yeah, that's two different things there for sure. But I completely agree. Home repairs ain't cheap. New roof, new windows. Yep, I get you. HVAC. Yep. Last year was $8,500. Completely agree. That is inflationary. There's no other way around that. I don't know what we also got to worry about the government mandating various emissions stuff like that stuff too, though. That's always a problem. New roof, new windows, and HVAC. So 100% right. Absolutely. And let's just say new windows in this house, $15,000, $20,000. We have a pretty big house. I'm not trying to pay that, but if you do, it's a one-time pay. You see what I'm saying? HVAC hopefully is once every 10 years or so. New roof, once every 10 to 15, at the most. Yeah, intermittent fasting. Man, I tell you, that's a great point, Kim. The less you eat, the more your stomach shrinks. And, I've shared this story with you before. I'll share it again. When I was in the Army, I went to Ranger School. Don't know how, don't know why. I mean, I know how. I volunteered because I didn't want to go on deployment to North Carolina. I said, yeah, I'll go. Like, they're like, I said, yeah, I'll go. Anyway, so I passed the pre-Ranger class in Fort Drum. I don't know how I did that. I'm not a great soldier. So there's to it. Somehow I was able to pass the land nav thing. How I did that. I even passed a night one up here in Fort Benning in Georgia in the basic training or the Ranger class. Like, I don't know how I did it. I guess everyone gets lucky sometimes, but I did it not once, but twice. Because I got recycled and recycled again and recycled again. So finally I said, this ain't for me. I'm out. Anyway, the long story short is you don't eat very much in Ranger School. You eat like one meal a day. I don't know, for freaking, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then they'll give you a couple of days off. I can't remember. I remember me and this little Puerto Rican guy named Valverde. He got recycled the same time I did. He was in my basic training class. He was in my unit up in Fort Drum, and he and I, we both ended up at Ranger School at the same time. I can't remember how we did that, but he's a good guy. Valverde, he's probably freaking 5 foot, tiny little guy, but he freaking, it's crazy, man. That guy, you put 150 pounds on his back. He probably didn't even weigh 150 pounds. He could walk that through. It's just, cock strong is what we call it. Anyway, long story short, so we both got recycled, and we had a day, not even a day off, but we had 8 hours. We could go do whatever we want. So we went to a steak place in Columbus, Georgia. Some Golden Corral or something like that. And we both ate steaks, and we hadn't eaten. I mean, our stomach shrank. So I probably lost 35 pounds. Valverde probably lost half his body. And so you eat. I just remember you eat a couple things of steak, a couple bites, and you go in the freaking bathroom and puke it up because your stomach couldn't handle it. You come back and do it again, and probably do that 2 or 3 times, and you literally couldn't eat your whole steak because your stomach shrunk. And that's what intermittent fasting in some regards is doing. It's shrinking your stomach so you don't eat the same portions. It's nuts. And so what happens is you're sitting there, you're literally forcing it down on yourself because your body says, I don't want this, man. I don't need it. My stomach is small. And yet it's interesting too, because you're thinking, well, don't you need the food? You're like, well, if you're in Ranger School, you're not like you're sitting around smoking cigarettes and joking. You're doing stuff. You're active. And then you're getting by. It's very interesting. So you literally don't need that much food. It's a fact. You don't need it. It's gluttony. I'm the biggest freaking violator of this, man. Trust me. Trust me, I am, but you don't need it. And so if you go on intermittent fasting or something like that, where you're training your body not to want that, you're going to save. It's going to be healthier. It's going to put a better inside this, lump of coal up here. And then part 3 of that, it's going to save you money for sure. Yeah. Toilet paper, right on, man. Right on. Jake's got a large vegetable garden. My wife loves doing it. Over 1,000 garden bowls. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Where do you live, Jake? I think, yes, Eric, I know. I got to get my chicken wire up, man. I tell you, and I was hoping not to have to. I'll probably get cow panels this year to keep Finney out of there. Yeah, that's Pablo doesn't care about the garden. Finney doesn't care about anything. So Finney's like, what I mean by that, Finney will get in anything. He's like, what's yours, Dad, is mine. Where is Finney? He's not making a presence here tonight. Weird. You can grow potatoes in a burlap sack filled with dirt. Yeah, right on, man. 100%. 100%. They want every kid. They want to every kid for. No, I'm not getting. All right, here's Tom. If you got the cash to spare, it's up to you. 38,000 income seems kind of low, but 14,000 might cost about 14. Yeah, it's tons of articles, Jeremy, on just look at the video I did earlier today. I have to put 2 on there, one from Forbes and one from Washington Examiner. Tons of articles on that. I'm 15,000 in debt, but Sniffy Joe may pay it off with taxpayer money. Yeah. Gold. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of 1 ounce gold coins. The problem with that is they can't be. It's literally all or nothing. If that makes sense. I think people overlook that when it comes time to actually use those in some kind of barter transaction. That's a lot of money with 1 gold ounce coin, man. 1 ounce gold coin. That's what, $1,900 right now. I'd be careful on the 10th ounces. I have some 10th ounces. I got some quarters and I got some ones too. But the issue is the 10ths are very, very small and very light. And I lost one. I put one in my kid's Easter basket and I don't know what happened to it. So it's like $120 down the drain. I have no idea where it went. And so the 10th ounce, don't be like me. Don't lose a gold coin. The quarters are easier. I like the quarters best, actually. The ounces you just can't slice and dice them, if that makes sense. Yes, Ken O'Brien, right on. Ken O'Brien from the Jets. Freaking hate the Jets back then. Remember Freeman McNeil, Altoon, Ken O'Brien. Who's the other quarterback they had? Forgot. But Altoon, Wesley Walker, Gastineau, Marty Lyons. Oh, man, that's when football. I cannot. Football was just, what happened? What happened to the sport? I don't remember forget all the stupid politics, but just the refs, dudes. I don't remember that. I just don't remember the refs being up everybody's butts. It's nuts. Was it just yes, right on. Yeah, right on. Kim says buy gold and tennis. Who said no more roses on Valentine's Day? Was it always like this? With football, we just didn't know back then. I just don't remember the flags, man. I was watching this first game I watched all year. I was like, what? It's like every play. It's like you're waiting for a flag, and some happens, some don't. It's like this is like the Chinese water torture, man. Every single snap, you're waiting for a flag. That's not good. That's why, forget all the politics of the NBA. The reason I stopped watching the NBA because it freaking got boring. Never mind Charles Barkley. They cleared out for one side. I was like, that sucks. But then, in the later part of the 90s, it's like, dude, they're calling fouls every single time down court. It's insane. That's not good. Yeah, I remember being nervous when U.S. debt topped $5 trillion in the early 2000s. Today it's at $28 trillion. Biden is warming up the print press. Yep, I tell you, I'll never get paid. Yeah, exactly. Paul says, how are you going to shave off the right amount of gold for a loaf of bread? I cannot agree more. Yep. You need look. I like electric vehicles. I'd like to have a hybrid, frankly, but I like electric vehicles. I'm not against them. I just think this idea that they're going to solve the emissions problem is silly. I think it'd be fun to be able to freaking punch that sucker in and go 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds. That'd be fun. have a quiet. Look, I'm all about electric vehicles. I'm not buying one. They're too expensive. But with that said, they're not going to solve what everyone thinks is going to solve. It's weird. I'm looking at my man Jason over Engineering Explained. I'm like, the big issue with electric vehicles is where does the electricity come from? It doesn't just fall from the sky. There it is, electricity, the magic electricity tree. Just pull the electricity. We'll have the electricity we need. It's great. It's unlimited. Yay. It's got to come from someplace. And if you're banning the source of it and you're not allowing nuclear, where's it going to come from? The climate change stuff is probably the most, COVID now is the most frustrating thing because it's gone insane. People have gone insane. I mean, literally, no. If you would have said, look, check this out. 13 months ago, if you would have said that you cannot go outside without being yelled at, in some places you can't go outside without permission from the authorities. You couldn't get on a plane. You couldn't travel. The people in Britain would say, you can't come. I mean, you would say, this is freaking, there's no way that's going to happen here. And yet here we are. Now they're double masking. And we know Fauci's a fraud. We get all that. But still, I'm just like, but people still fall for this. Like, what is it? It's weird, man. What is it? What is this fear? Well, I know people have died. Well, we know people died of all kinds of different things. The vast majority of people who got COVID are not dying. It's not even debatable. But there are people who die in suicide, car crashes, freaking falling off ladders all the time. All the time, people dying from obesity, people dying from this, people dying from that, people dying. And we don't shut down the whole world for it. You're not going to die. Well, that's not sympathetic. No, I am sympathetic. I'm sympathetic to the people who are alive or living, who are being denied their ability to live a life and are getting desperate and more desperate. And yet these people have no voice because all the freaking, I know somebody who died from COVID. They wear it like a badge of honor. It's freaking sick. It's sick. And they're like, you don't have any empathy. I said, hell, I do. I do have empathy. But I'm not going to sit there. I know 2 people died from heroin overdose. You can't be like that. That's freaking disgusting. As we got children sitting inside their home that can't go outside, can't play with their friends. It's freaking evil crap. And then, never mind the stupid mask thing. And we got a clown up there, Fauci said, don't wear masks, do wear masks. Oh, go to school, don't go to school. No, now we're 2 masks. Well, I never said 2 masks. Now I'm saying 2 masks. And then we have a study by the CDC, which absolutely does not say 2 masks are safe. It does say that. It says it's a simulation. It says in there, in the study itself, in no way do we suggest that this is going to work. It's a simulation. But everyone's like, the science says. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. A study. Oh, wow. All right. Yeah, Marino, Dan Magikowski. I remember him. Yep. All right. Now that I can retire, I should move to California and New York. I'm 27. Can I retire? I don't want to be a slave to capitalism. I'm a socialist. Seems like rich people just selfishly sit on their money. Oh, brother. All right, so this is what they say. Japan had no population growth. We have massive immigration. If you actually look at the CDC, Census Bureau, now we take this with a grain of salt, I grant you, but I think it was from 2000. I can't remember when I was doing my stuff on the population growth relative to the voting numbers. It was all legit, clean and safest election ever. There's just not much growth in the number of people in the United States. There's just not much. A hugely decelerating population. It's a fact, man. And I'm telling you, what's going to happen is someone said AI. There's going to be more and more AI. You got a $15 minimum wage. Look, dude, the reason that's happening is because that's going to create more robots to take over people's jobs. That's just a fact. They want this group of people who are on UBI. welfare, essentially. It's welfare that aren't working, but are just slaves to what the government tells them. It's their voting machine. It's their voting people. I get it. And they'll get a number of them, sadly, who will say, hey, if I don't have to work, you give me $2,000 a month, free healthcare, free housing, and EBT cars. I'm all about that. Sad. It's a slave, but be it as it may, it's happening. And people are okay with that. So you have a bunch of people on UBI thinking they're free when they're actually the epitome of slaves. But that will be the voting bloc that gets called on by the Democrats to push more and more great recess. But they're going to kill off the lower end jobs because AI machines are coming, dude. It's happening. I mean, hell, it's happening on the farms. It's happening in the trucks, over the road trucks. It's going to happen across the board. And the $15 minimum wage is just going to expedite that for sure. And so what's going to happen is going to be less. What are you going to need? What are you going to need immigrants for? What are you going to do? The machines can do it. You're not going to need low-skilled immigrants to come here. And who's going to flush your toilets? Some clown said that if we don't have Guatemalans coming here, who's going to clean your toilets if you don't let Guatemalans here? I said, no, that's for you guys. You guys are so racist, you on the left. You're so flipping racist. But they projected on us. It's kind of like the people who say I have no empathy. They projected on me, but they're the ones with no empathy. And I got no tolerance for that crap. And that's where Republicans need to fight back. So yeah, I'm not granting the premise. I'm not going to prove to you I'm not racist by my best friends. Some of my best friends are black. No, that's 20 years ago, dude. Didn't work then, doesn't work now. Stop. Don't grant the premise. But Josh, you're racist. No, I'm not. But I say, I don't care what you say. I'm not. Josh, you don't have any empathy. Yes, I do. No, you don't. I say, I don't care what you say. That's the Republicans need to fight. And look, I'm not throwing in with Republicans in most things anymore. I'm just not. When it comes to guns, I am, absolutely. I am 100% a Second Amendment absolutist without question. And I like the idea of state legislatures being taken over by Republicans because they are not truly in the swamp, not yet. The swamp is D.C. And what happens when they get to D.C., then they start getting their names on the national news, and that's when they start loving it. Usually if they stay local, they're usually pretty good. So the local Republican Party, generally speaking, is pretty good. We're seeing a little bit of pushback even in Georgia on voting fraud, which is good. And there should be some come to Jesus moments now that Loeffler and Perdue lost in the 2000 in the Senate seats. You know what I'm saying? Lost. Because we can see for real, if you're trying to run for state office here and you don't clean up stuff, you'll never win because another side has the inside track on that, if you know what I'm saying. And as such, it looks like there's some Republicans starting to wake up to say, yeah, we better fix this because our own political livelihood is at stake. Oh, wow. You would have thought you would have saw that in June during the primaries, fools, but they didn't. But the funny thing, you start getting even more local. That's when you get some really corrupt Republican politicians who just love the power. It's weird, man. So you go too high in D.C., that's a swamp. Paul Ryan, Joe Scarborough, all those guys, swamp. You get in the middle, the state legislature, House and local state Senate. That's probably your best bet. Maybe even the county, but the locality, local, freaking mayorship and stuff like that. Those are the people that are basically, a lot of little, tyrants there, Republicans and Democrats. I'm telling you right now, they get to control their local community. So it's an interesting dynamic there is that the local areas are usually which the biggest regulation pain in the butt is. So the middle is like less. And then you get more, I think, more conservatives that would actually make it to the state assembly to do more good things like what we're seeing in West Virginia, which is good stuff. Don't know why we're not seeing it in Georgia. We control the state, the House, the Senate, and the governorship. We at least control the 2022, but nothing's going through. At least I can see not a damn thing's going through other than there is some at least verbiage to fixing the voter rules and at least making it so that there has to be a signature. Wow. Holy crap. Voter ID and a signature. Stunning. I notice they're not getting anything with mail-in ballots, though. I guess they're not, they don't see the risk in mail-in ballots, which is freaking idiots. That's a good point. Cute Humor says, invest in stocks the Federal Reserve will bail to stock. I kind of agree with that, brother. I kind of do. That's kind of frightening, actually. Kemp, I don't know what happened to him, man. I don't. It's weird. I will go down to this day thinking Kemp got pissed when Trump threw him under the bus. I mean, Kemp allowed the state to stay open, and Trump. This is where Trump is bad. He hurts. You criticize in private, you praise in public, and Trump does the exact opposite. Look, man. Trump was on Kemp like white on rice when Kemp wasn't going to close down everything, and I really believe Kemp got pissed. Essentially, Trump allowed it to be that Kemp was, people were going to die in Georgia because that was coming all around. Media was saying Brian Kemp is going to kill people, blah blah blah, and Kemp stuck to his guns. And then Trump came out and kind of insinuated that he should have been closing stuff down, and he should have took Kemp's back. God, still frustrates from no end. How did Trump? I just never mind. Yeah. So anyway, what happened was Kemp. I mean, I think at the end of the day, Puffy Barger, that was a con right there. He's a Secretary of State. He signed without question the Dominion crap and the mail-in ballots. I think Kemp just rubber stamped it. Probably put some trust in Puffy Barger. Puffy Barger's too proud to say he screwed up, and as such, Kemp said, "I'm too proud to say I screwed up too." So we're going to say this is legit, and we all know that. I don't know, Jill, you're wrong. No, listen to what happened back in May. Trump was selling Kemp down river, man. He was. I'm telling you, it had nothing to do with that. At this point, we didn't know what Dominion was. Kemp was trying to do the right thing and keep the state going. And everybody and their mom were at this guy. And Trump did not take Kemp's back. He didn't. Trump's not good at keeping his friends, man. He's just not. I wish he was better at it. I just don't get it. It's like Trump's way or bust. And that works to some degree. I like it, but I'm like, dude, Kemp was an acolyte, and you freaking sold him downriver when we needed people to stand up in the face of the pressure to close the whole country down. I'll never understand why Trump went along with this. I will never, other than the fact I know he's a germaphobe. But other than that, he if you listen to Steve Deese or Dice, whatever his name is from what's his name, The Blaze, I watch him on occasion. He wasn't a Trump guy, but he became a Trump guy. He says, "Look, man," and he said this back in friggin' June or May or something like that. He says, if Trump loses, he can only have himself to blame. He relied on Mike Pence, Burks, and what's the name, Fraudchi. And I completely agree. I said, man, I never thought about it. I said, I completely agree. He relied on those guys. And just look at the consumer sentiment, man. We see the consumer sentiment fall off a cliff in April and into May, and it never really came back that much. And you can't. Oh, man. All right. Harry says, during this cold snap, hardly any renewables in the SPP market can be utilized due to the freezing temps, so the entire market is having to rely mainly on fossil fuel generation units. It's funny because I was reading the other day, and I think I even did this on Friday. Did I do a live stream Friday? I can't remember. I think I did, where he talked about the wind turbines. When they get too cold, they can't turn. And what they need to do is they need to be de-iced, essentially, and they can only be de-iced with fossil fuel stuff to de-ice them. They can't turn. When it gets too cold, they can't operate. It's just funny. By the way, solar PV panels can't operate when it's too hot, FYI. Just that solar likes San Diego. I mean, San Diego is a perfect place for solar. It does not like the Mojave Desert, for instance. The solar photovoltaic, if that makes sense. Now you have these solar and these other kind of arrays that aren't the typical solar photovoltaic panels you put on your rooftops. Those are different, but solar photovoltaic, they don't operate when it gets too hot. They just don't. The efficiency drops significantly. The ones out in the Mojave Desert, whatnot, are mirrors. They're mirrors is what it is. It's a different species, but yet the size and scope you need to get an array like that to do any kind of reduction for fossil fuels is never happened. Never gonna happen. Yeah, look, man, I agree. I don't expect Trump to run again. I do know I hope he stands against Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley cannot win the nomination. She is not good people. She's not good people. I get it. People are kind of suckered by her. I get it. No, she's not Sarah Palin. Trust me, she's not Sarah Palin. She's not Michelle Bachmann. Nikki Haley is for Nikki Haley. She is swamp, man. I'm telling you. That whole South Carolina trio, Tim Scott, Lindsey Graham, Nikki Haley, they're all one and the same, man. I'm telling you, I don't trust any of them as far as I could kick them, that's for sure. No way. Anyway, so Nikki Haley is certainly right on, man. DeSantis, yep. Yeah, Lynn Wood, dude, what a freaking fool. I don't get that at all. That guy, man, I tell you, he was our version of the bald guy, Avenatti. But it's easy to make people believe what they want to believe. And Lynn Wood, 2,000 ballots in Wisconsin. That's same in Pennsylvania. Look, and that's why Jill and I have a agreed to disagree thing. I don't think it was that. I just think it was still going to be close, regardless of how you look at it. I just think it was. But with that said, take away 4 counties and the shenanigans, those 4 counties, it's a whole different ballgame. It's an electoral landslide, but it's not a vote landslide, if that makes sense. And I mean, it's never going to be. I mean, you look at 2004, George W. Bush. He won by, 280 to 262 or something like that? I mean, it's like there wasn't any big victory. The last time there was a blowout was George H.W. Bush in 1988. And even then, after the Democratic convention, he was down by 17 points. Of course, that's a Gallup poll, so we got to take it with a grain of salt. But, I mean, still, at the end of the day, it showed that there was at least a trending towards the caucus, and George H.W. Bush happened to come back around. But at the end of the day, we just don't know. I mean, who knows? It's water under the bridge now, man. It's water under the bridge now. What we do know is, the MAGA isn't going away. I mean, it's still there. The Trumpsters, I'm 100% proud of it, without question. The question is, who's going to come along now that might be a little bit less. I don't mind Trump. I don't even mind the Twitter crap. That never bothered me. What bothered me was Trump's inability to roll with the punches with friends. An inability not to punch down. Like, why is he going after Joe Scarborough in May of this past year? I don't know. That was weird, man. And he'd do that on occasion. I said, I didn't get that, Trump. You're punching down. Why give him, Scarborough, why let him live rent-free in your head? I don't get it. Now, with that said, Trump won presidency against all odds. So who am I to tell him what to do? But it's like, dude, don't you see what's happening? That's what I'm saying. I've said, don't you see what's happening with this whole pandemic? And yet you're going after Joe Scarborough. I'm sitting there thinking, I can't believe it. I was saying this back in February. I can't believe it. I was saying in March. I can't believe it. I was saying in April. Can't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I didn't trust Fauci back then. I don't trust him now. And some reason Trump did. Weird. Because I think at the end of the day, Trump's like most is used to having his butt kissed. And Fauci is the ultimate in butt kisser. Fauci's nose is so brown from brown nosing that it'd be considered blackface, if that makes sense. I mean, Fauci is just not a good man, not a good guy. Yeah, I kind of think so. All right. I think Trump. Yeah, no, he would be. That's what this is 100%. He said, if I let the country stay open, I'm going to get blamed. And I remember Rush Limbaugh talked about this when Trump first got in there. Rush was saying he thought Trump felt that once he won, people would gather to do stuff. And he said Trump was never an ideologue. He never understood the decrepancy. Is that the right word? Decrepit, whatever, the vast evilness that is of the left wing. Trump never recognized that until essentially probably it's too late, frankly. He never recognized because he's never been an ideologue. And as such, I remember Rush Limbaugh saying this when Trump won. He said Trump was never an ideologue. And as such, he went along thinking they were going to go along with him. And then, he woke up in, the latter part of 2017, beginning of 2018, he said, he lost a full year, man. And then, and because he thought, and he didn't recognize how the Democrats, they play for keeps. They don't play for friends. And I always thought that's true. I always thought that's like, why is Trump? It's weird. It's weird, man. And that same kind of thing in the coronavirus thing. I was like, dude, you recognize that no matter what happens, you're going to get the blame. And they were doing that. They say only under Trump is unemployment at 14%. The same people who told him that he wasn't doing enough to shut down the economy. People were dying because he didn't do enough. Are also saying the unemployment rate's his fault too. And it's like they get away with it. And it's like, it's so frustrating. Oh, if I'm just nice to the media, they'll like me. No, they won't like you. Unless you're selling Republicans down the river. Unless you're John McCain, they won't like you because you're selling Republicans down the river. Then once you go up against Obama, then there's something they're going to turn on you, McCain, which he learned. Mitt Romney, they didn't like you in 2012. They like you now because you're going against Trump. They're not going to like you anymore. The Lincoln Project, what's happened to them? They're just blown up, thank the good Lord. But they did, they're like useful idiots, as Stalin used to say. It's what these people are. Oh man, so frustrating. I don't understand it. I don't understand how any Republican thinks the media is going to like him. I don't get it. I still like Rand Paul. I'd like to see Rand Paul too. So we'll see what happens with DeSantis. I like DeSantis a lot, man, a lot. I think he's got to run again in 2022, though. And who knows? Who knows? I mean, I think he'll win. If he wins going away, he's got to be number one in the Republican eye. Got to be number one. I'm a big fan of Rand Paul. It's hard to win from the Senate, though. It is hard to win. Obama did. Sniffy Joe was vice president for Obama, so it's not really from the Senate, but hard to win from the Senate. It's easier to win from the governorship, at least historically. So I think DeSantis would have leg up on Rand Paul, but I like Rand Paul. I like DeSantis. Not so sure on what's her name, Noem from South Dakota. I'm not so sure on her. I watched one of her discussions she did live, and it wasn't great. Let's just put it that way. It seemed a little bit lightweighted. I was surprised. I said, "Oof." It was good. It was good. It just I wasn't all that convinced. But I like her. I just wasn't all that convinced yet. We got DeSantis. Always like Ted Cruz, but he's not going to win. He's got too many negatives now. It's not going to happen. I like that guy, Bill Paxton from Texas, AG of Texas. I don't understand why the Republican attorney generals aren't like doing what Democrat attorney generals do. Democrat attorney generals sue the hell out of everybody. And they win. They get big. They sue Philip Morris. They sue the NRA. They sue. I don't know why Republican attorney generals don't do the same thing. It's weird, man. And we got, 26 states are in Republican hands from top to bottom. Where are the Republican attorney generals going after, freaking clowns? Antitrust, freaking violate, find something. I don't care. But Josh, you're going to play the Democrats' way. Yeah, because we've been playing the Republicans' way for freaking 50 years, and look where it's got us. Anyway. All right. I think I'm going to go get some more hot tea, and we're going to watch some Twilight Zone, the Chloe, me, and the dogs. No school for the kids tomorrow. Hope you guys stay warm out there. Appreciate y'all being here. It's fun. I enjoy this. It's actually cathartic for me. We'll talk politics. We talk some climate change. We talk some financial planning for sure. I'll be working on my 4-fund portfolio. I love Twilight Zone. Yeah, rhinos will. I completely agree, Quincy. That's what's going to happen, and can't have that, man. Can't have that. Can't have rhinos in there. You can't. Yeah, I'm not so sure about Candace Owens, man. No, Zach, you want to be banned? Nikki Haley, even if she could win, it's no good. I don't know. Who's I watching did a video on Candace Owens, and I was like, I like her a lot, actually. I just I need to learn a little bit more. She had said some things that were a little bit off. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what it was. Look, I'm not one of these guys that say you got to be perfect all the time. I don't mean to be like that, but I remember the instinct initially was a little bit off. And I was like, okay. So I don't know. I like Candace Owens. Big fan. But it was a little bit off, whatever that video was a few years back. And it's like, she sold some people out. I forgot what it was. And I was like, not a big fan of that. I don't like I'm drawing a blank who the other group was that a lot of conservatives seem to like. Oh, Ben Shapiro. Not a big fan of Ben Shapiro, just not. They're not MAGA guys. Those are, tax cut guys. And I think the Republican needs to get over the tax cuts. I think, state level is fine. Federal level is a losing proposition. Federal level, you got to offer alternatives on Medicare and Social Security. You got to. I mean, healthcare is a big deal, nonpartisan, big deal. Social Security and Medicare, Republicans need to be in front of this next time around. They need to be. Look, I talk to people all the time. It's the same damn thing. What are we going to do for healthcare until we're 65? And a lot of these people are, because look, they self-select me. They're conservative people. Why do you think I made it known about my politics? Because I know people who are like me will hire me, and people who don't like me won't. That's fine with me. But I'll have more of an affinity towards people who like my way of thinking, and they'll be more inclined to hire me because they like the way I think. Because they said this guy's honest with who he is, I like to hire him. It's a business decision, and on top of that, I can't. I'm just too truthful anyway. But at the end of the day, I talk to people all the time, and the issue is, what are we going to do about this? You see what I'm saying? And it's the Republicans need to come up with a plan, and it can't just be a plan of Raphael Warnock socialism. That's freaking stupid, man. God, come up with something. And it's got to be Social Security, and it's got to be Medicare. I don't. This thing on tax cuts is just, no one cares. No one cares. And the reason no one cares is because it's not affecting that much. But you know what is affecting them? Social Security, Medicare. Crazy. But that's a problem I've got with, yes, exactly. DeSantis needs to win. He needs to win going away. Absolutely. We didn't hear anything too. By the way, how many people in Georgia registered to vote when they did not vote in the November election? That just kind of fell off a cliff. In fact, until right now, I forgot about that. And you're not allowed to register to vote if you did not vote in the November, to vote in the runoffs. Did it happen? I don't know. But I mean, there was this big thing, a big move to get people to come to Georgia to register to vote, even though they didn't vote in the general. And you're like, well, you can't do that. Well, you also can't vote twice. People did that en masse. Thousands of people voted twice in Georgia. And Puffy did not do anything. He said he was going to prosecute. He didn't. He opened up the freaking runway for people to engage in bad activity, man. And he didn't do anything about it. It's crazy. And you're not supposed to register to vote if you didn't vote in the general in November. And yet people did or didn't. I don't know. But you're not supposed to. But you're also, again, not supposed to vote twice. And they did. No one got prosecuted. Yeah, I don't think that'd be almost like her own Greta Thunberg at this point. I don't know. I mean, at some point, look, we don't want to have to make at some point, other than Trump, you got to win. You got to show that you can win, in my opinion, first and foremost. And that's tough because that inherently makes you go to the swamp first. But you got to show you can win at some place, in my opinion, I think. Maybe not. I mean, Al Franken never showed, but he only ran for Senate. But to be president of the United States, I don't know, man. That's a bridge too far for Candace, in my opinion. Trump was beaten by selling hatred aid, and Trump had Trump was selling haterade. I don't even know what that is. Yes, I completely agree with this. People should be getting more focused on getting involved in the local areas. I completely agree. 100%. If you're going to get in politics, get involved in freaking local areas, your local precinct level, man. I'm telling you, local precinct. Absolutely. All right. Lynn's been watching me on YouTube all day. Right on. Well, thank you, man. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see old Andrew Yang. Not a fan of old Andrew. I know a lot of Republicans think he's okay from the left. If they're on the left, they're not okay. That's the thing Republicans got to understand. If they're from the left, they're not okay. That's all there is to it. If you don't know history, because what happens is if you're on the left, I'm just going back to I think it's social democrats in the Soviet Union, Russia before then, the Mensheviks and the Bolsheviks. If you're on the left, you will be gobbled up by the most extreme radicals of the left every single time. Andrew Yang will be gobbled up by the AOCs, who will ultimately be gobbled up by the Bolsheviks. And trust me, they're out there. They're out there. And they want you dead. No other way around that. They don't want you alive. And they're going to do whatever they can. It's history, man. It's not just the Soviet Union. It's not just Maoist. Just look at history. They want you not to be alive if you don't agree. It's just all there is to it. And they're going to come after you. And if you say, well, Andrew Yang's a good lefty. No, there is no such thing. There's not. The old days of the hippie lefties are gone. They're gone. Those guys are gone. Those guys are kind of like the Tim Pools of the world, kind of like soft, squishy, libertarian lefts, but they're no longer part of the Democratic Party because there isn't any. There's no moderate Democrats. There's just no hippie Democrats. They're all far left. Why do you think Manchin voted to convict? You think Manchin's a freaking moderate lefty? Hell no. John Tester? Hell no. At the end of the day, they know who butters the bread. It's the far left globalist. It is. Yeah. All right. I'm going to get out of here, man. We'll see you guys, and appreciate y'all being here again. Thanks again. James Dolan. Oh, I hate that guy too.